Free the Chamber. How are you?
Good.
Good. You had sent an inquiry to our website. Just wanted to get in touch with you. Talk to you maybe a little bit about chambers.
Okay.
So just want to thank you for filling out that quiz, by the way. That's going to be very helpful to me. I did look over a few things here. Are you able to hear me okay? I'm just actually using a new headset, which I haven't used before.
Sure. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, perfect. All right, so just bear with me a second. It's new. We're on a totally new system here. So I'm still trying to get the hang of it. All right, so okay, so have you done any research before, or you just kind of started to look into it?
You know, I went to a chiropractor's, got one. He's got I think it's a Viteris 320. And anyway, what I'd like to do is have one for it at my house.
Yeah. And you are. What kind of brought you to that decision? Was it probably? It's usually for most people it's the cost. It's really expensive to pay per treatment.
Oh, just convenience.
Oh, okay.
Literally.
Yeah, that too as well. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that Viteris 320 is a nice one. It's pretty big. Since it's 32 inches, do you get? You weren't claustrophobic in that one, right?
No, not at all.
Okay. Yeah, just to give you a heads up, that is one of the larger ones.
I see.
Yeah, so if you do end up looking into something smaller, just keep that in mind, that a lot of people usually end up choosing something smaller for their home. But again, it all comes down to finances, right? And kind of one of the things that irritates me most probably about this business is that, a lot of these manufacturers, they don't really care, basically. A lot of people can't really afford, what they need to afford, or kids can't afford what they need. So that's basically, I'm probably one of the few people in the industry that are trying to do as many different things as possible, whether it be give away free products with it, health products and equipment that can help offset the cost, or having a variety of different payment options, finance programs, you name it. Basically will help anybody of any credit level as well.
Sure.
And that's kind of jumping ahead of things. But anyway, so, okay, let me go back to your little quiz here. And how many treatments have you gotten so far?
Yeah, I think I'd had like 8.
Okay. All right, that's a fair amount. I'm just curious, not everybody always notices anything, but did you notice anything within that amount of time?
Oh, I think it's probably helpful. I do. I do. I think
what kind of injury was it that you were going for?
I'd had a knee replacement, and I just went to help speed up the healing process. How do you know for sure? It's not.
Yeah, well, things like, the answer to that would be simple. It would be, if you're talking to somebody who has helped a lot of individuals with those types of injuries for some period of time with hyperbaric, you can pretty much have a pretty good sense of the efficacy of if it's going to help or not.
Sure.
In general, those types of injuries, how long ago did that occur, the injury?
It was like 8 months ago.
Oh, it was recent. Well, that's actually good.
Yeah.
It's actually better. Yeah, because in general, older injuries, that's a whole other story. In general, you'll need, sometimes for older injuries, a couple other therapies in addition to hyperbaric therapy, because you have a lot of scar tissues and adhesions and all sorts of stuff that has built up since then. But it's excellent if it's fresh. So, yeah, hyperbaric kind of has several different actions on that. Actually, to go into specifics of the actual medical part of what it does, and how that actually directly could affect you. That's actually something that I can't even go into legally before, and this is all FDA rules, basically, before actually getting a prescription or knowing that you have a prescription. Did I don't know if you know that part of it, but basically to get a chamber, you just need to get a prescription, which is not like, you're going to go to your, mainstream medical doctor and ask for one. That's not necessarily what has to happen, unless they want to give you one. But in general, you just have to go see somebody who's a licensed healthcare practitioner.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So again, it's not that complicated. If you have trouble with like finding somebody who says, okay, yeah, sure, this is not really a big deal. I'll sign this, and for you to get one of these for yourself. We actually have somebody on staff. I'm actually connected. People I'm connected to, and it took me a while because I realized that manufacturers really don't care. There's not really much I can do. All these people just want to sell chambers. They don't really care. As I actually aligned myself with two of the biggest companies that basically have most of the clinics, independent hyperbaric clinics in the country.
I see.
And so basically they, know first off, better than anybody because they're treating thousands and thousands of people, what works, what doesn't. Most salespeople have no clue. They have no first direct-hand experience. They can also talk to you. They can give you specific medical consulting. My associates, which is something that actually somebody with a medical license can really only do. So they can give you actually very specific info. And over the years, we were actually able to leverage with several financial institutions to go from A to D credit. So I'm keep bringing that credit thing up again because in general, like if you just call up most hyperbaric companies, it's just going to be very limited who they'll accept. And I keep bringing that up. You might be in a financial situation, I don't know, where you just pay cash right now for something like this, but most people aren't. And in fact, most people are not counseled that there's several other ways to get a chamber. So your out-of-pocket is actually a fraction of what you'd think it was. For example, a lot of people always think, I have to get a brand new chamber. And they're convinced by other people that that's the case. That's complete bullshit. In fact, it makes more sense for many reasons to get a used chamber that's still certified under warranty or was sent back to the manufacturer to get recertified. Because, it's less out of your pocket initially, and if then it proves to be, oh my God, I'm getting great results here, I really want to commit to this for the foreseeable future. It didn't just help me with my injury, but actually I'm getting all these other benefits. You can always then just sell it back for almost what you paid for it, and then consider getting a brand new one because you're really passionate about the therapy now. You believe in it, versus
so what, like a Vitaris, like the 320, what kind of longevity does one of those units have if you just had it in your home? And
I was going to say, it's nice that you tried OxyHealth because that one is the most popular, meaning they're in the most amount of just centers of all kinds in this country, 10,000 plus, and for the longest period of time. So we know more about that chamber and longevity, that brand, than any other brand. Nobody really comes close, and for such a period of time. So again, we know for each single model how they perform long term. And they perform fine is basically the answer. That is like the most durable brand you can get. And then you have your second, third. There's not really a fourth option unless you just want to get something, pretty sketchy off of like Alibaba or something from out of China or something like that. But outside of that, it's good that you did try that brand because that actually is one of the more popular models and the most popular brand. And in general, I work with a lot of different health equipment, so I can see through a lot of the BS. And just because something is really popular doesn't always mean that it's the best. But to answer your longevity question, yeah. Any of these models you have access to, the only thing is some clinics, not in this country, but with a couple of these oxyhealths, you can actually go above the normal PSI 1.3 or 1.5. Legally, a company can't sell you the chamber at that setting. In Europe, they can, and there's advantages, meaning that you can shave off about 30 minutes to your time, to your treatment time, or just basically do the same session and just get, make more results faster when you get higher pressure. But they can actually sell you only with OxyHealth. They have the option to basically sell you a kit that you can apply yourself. Which is perfectly legal after the sale, and turn your chamber into like a 1.75 ATA. Very few people know that, basically, that little secret or trick. Then that's something that, again, you might want to consider as well, because basically that's like saving yourself 30 minutes out of a session. And to get a kit where you can tack that on is really not very expensive at all. But that's the only brand, to my knowledge, that goes up to that level. There's also Newtown, which now does 1.5 ATA standard, and Summit of the Sea. Oxynova is another brand. See, the issue is, I like that's Oxynova company. They're kind of comparable to Newtown, but it's a very new company. Do you know what I'm saying? And when you're about to shell out a serious amount of money, it's nice to know what to expect, basically. And especially if you're given a long-term warranty and the company hasn't even been around that long, it doesn't make any sense. How would they know? How do you know they're going to be there to service something that's 10 times longer again than the company's been in business? So there's just a lot of these games in the industry, but you can basically get a chamber, get it used, and the thing too is about an OxyHealth is that if you're thinking, okay, I just want to get over my injury, I want to treat it, you know what, maybe I won't need the chamber after, maybe I don't want to use it as an anti-aging or healing device, maybe I just want to, try to get most of my money back. A lot of people do that. So they get it, they use it for home, they do it for 6 months, a year, 15 months, whatever it is you need, and then they'll sell it right back to who sold it to them. And so there's kind of all these different things. Now, if you combine that with an excellent financing program, and then you actually sold it back at the end, you can actually calculate that. Sure, if this thing's $10,000 or $15,000 or whatever, my actual out of pocket was a fraction. It's a fraction. You could go $2,000 out of pocket. So most of the companies, when you just call them up, people trying to sell these, they just try to convince you, hey, you know what? You just got to buy a new one. You got to get it at the full price. All this kind of business. But that's kind of like the most foolish way to go into this. There's many, many ways to basically. So your end out of pocket is hardly anything. So a lot of people are thrown off by this therapy, thinking that it's expensive. But if you take the right strategy at home with this, it actually ends up being one of the cheaper things out there. So when it comes to kind of like, I'm not going to break that down like right on the call right now, all the different options. But needless to say, my point is that, before you ever get anything, invest anything, you can obviously crunch all the different numbers, all the different options, and see really what makes the most sense. And also, I'll have you talk to my associate who has treated those types of conditions you have many times over, and they'll be able to literally tell you, most people need this amount of time, in this model of chamber, at this pressure. Most people needed, 8 months for this. And then based off what you can expect, you can actually crunch some real numbers. Do you know what I mean? It's not, take a risk, buy something, and hey, maybe it'll work, and,
Right.
That's how most people try to convince you that that's the way it works.
Do you have any of those 320s in stock?
Yeah, absolutely.
What's your price range on those?
Before we even get to that I'd probably pass you over to my associate.